PDK of shock sites. Let's check it out.
When I was a kid, shock
websites.
sites were one of the most interesting.
I genuinely lost interest. I used to be interested in them, and then I didn't want to be interested in them no more because it's really uncomfortable to watch, and I haven't seen anything like that in so long. I actively go out of my way to avoid watching stuff like this, bro.
Interesting things about the internet. The prospect of
But yeah, when I was growing up, like, eh, nah, it's actually gruesome, bro. No one wants it. Like, what? I can't believe I watched this stuff growing up, man.
being able to visit a website
Because curiosity caught up with me. I got live leaked, bro. I got put on a live leak.
and see something
I got hit by a car, bro. It's
morbid, which you can't find anywhere else, was fascinating for me and my friends. It's a taboo that many of us experienced. This also heavily contributed to a lot of early creepypasta culture. Many an internet horror story was found to be largely based in snuff film legend. Websites like The Gauntlet and videos like
Gauntlet. Never heard of
the
that.
BME Pain Olympics were mentioned in passing as infamous.
BME Pain Olympics. That. I feel like I've. I think I've seen that one.
Pieces of gross shock content. So, where did all
Gross is an understatement, man.
the dedicated shock sites go in recent times? Once a staple of the internet, as the webs become increasingly sanitized, we've reached the point where all the shock sites that once horrified viewers are no longer functional. Most recently, we've seen the shutdown of LiveLeak, which quietly closed doors earlier this month. And while
didn't know they went down, bro. I didn't think they'd take. They took down Live Leak. That website was like incredibly like political, bro. So many political like stuff going on, and I don't even know what to think about that website. I haven't been on there in so long, so you know what I mean. I probably wouldn't go on the website for a while. Just CBA.
most hate to remember their legacy in any way, they undeniably played a huge role in those early years of the internet. So today, I'm going to be examining their complete rise and fall in an attempt to catalog the end of an era for one of the web's most revolting and essential sites.
Disclaimer, please do not attack or harass any people mentioned in this video. It's been created for edutainment, not for the purpose of riling up a mob to harass others. Yes, please. To add this to all my description.
But firstly, it's worth explaining what exactly these websites were for the far more fortunate viewer.
He put chapters in his video, but not in the actual video, like, so I can see what like segment we're on. That's fine.
To put it simply, shock sites were pages intended to
Politics left you bitter? Oh gosh.
to offend and
Yo, I remember that website. I don't want to remember that website.
disturb. This usually entailed some pretty gross imagery, from the notorious goatsy image to Two Girls, One Cup. They gained immense popularity in the late 2000s
Oh my gosh.
as people enjoyed watching their loved ones witness two women enjoying each other's chocolate ice cream in disgusting detail.
What the hell? Get out of here, jockey!
Unorthodox
The OG reaction videos.
fetish videos weren't the only ingredient, however. On the more disturbing side of the trend,
Yes, I've seen that one. I've seen a lot of these, bro.
were videos
Or at least the ones that were like 15 years ago.
showcasing extreme acts of violence, fittingly nicknamed gore videos. Unlike the former examples, which for the most only incited pure disgust, the latter had a sense of morbid curiosity.
But yeah, I grew up like looking at 4chan a lot, so I saw like stuff like this all the time, fam. And I didn't know what to think. But I just kept watching it until I stopped watching it.
To it. That may sound
It's pretty gruesome. Let's be real.
weird to say
Have you guys like tried to watch these videos? Let me know in the comments below.
out loud, but there's a scientific basis for this. Research by the University of Central Florida found that viewers had difficulties turning away because they were so captivated by their own disgust. Initially,
Yeah, it's like there's not many other ways to see something like this happen, right? So that's why I kept watching, but Eventually, I just didn't want to see it no more.
These sites tended to be one-off gags, a domain you could send to bait and switch your friends, but others sought to create something greater with the concept. Entire platforms dedicated to documenting that graphic footage with a tinge of humor to trivialize the fragility of human life. This idea would be first realized all the way back in 1996, with the launch of the web's first shock gallery, Rotten.com.
Yeah, that's the first one. That's actually the first one I found. I remember going to that website, man. I don't know why. I was looking at that website when I was like 12 years old, bro.
If there's one thing I've learned in my time online, it's that you can't control how people act on the internet. In fact, attempting to do so will often lead them to do the exact opposite, with users misbehaving just to spite those who wish to control them. This brings us to 1995, when
I spent many years looking at 4chan, fam.
Congress passed the Communication
I've always been a lurker.
Decency Act of 1996, a bill meant to regulate indecent and offensive imagery. This was in response to the rapid rise in popularity
At least I was mostly a lurker.
of online pornography.
Time Magazine? Oh snap, I haven't seen a Time Magazine article in so long. That's still a thing?
Many will cite this as one of the earliest instances of attempts to govern the internet, though ultimately it wouldn't succeed. Despite receiving a majority vote, the vague wording was deemed too restrictive, and thus it was ruled unconstitutional, as it would likely infringe on the First Amendment. In light of these legislative efforts, a computer engineer under the pseudonym of Soylent decided to protest, creating a site that embodied everything the busy
Reminds me of Soylent Green. Hold on, I'm looking up what Soylent Green means. The film.
bodies feared. That site would be titled Rotten.com, the original shock site, the first place on the internet to collect the aftermath of car crashes, failed attempts by people to take their own lives. You get the idea. It immediately spread by word and ingrained itself in the internet mythos, as those growing up at the time recalled sharing it around school with their friends. Declaring itself as pure evil on its front page, accompanying those horrific scenes were comedic
Jeez, this is what it looked like, the earliest versions.
editorials to
Don't remember this version. That probably before my time.
provoke as much of a reaction from passerby as possible. Though some images had questionable authenticity, most of the site's content was collected from documentaries, news footage, and other pre-existing sources, which
With a URL like rotten, what can you expect, fam?
were simply ripped and re-uploaded.
Also, that domain name is probably worth a ton right now.
This would become their strongest defense, that the content had been released prior, and Rotten was simply concentrating the horrors sprinkled throughout our lives. The site quickly received the extreme backlash that it desperately desired. Legal threats from brands whose products were seen in videos on the site, as well
Wait, they said desired?
as relatives wanting sensitive photos taken down, became so frequent that an entire section was dedicated to ridiculing them. One of their first significant controversies occurred in 1997. Following the death of Princess Diana, Rotten published an alleged
That was a whole thing I kind of didn't really get to experience because I was way too young.
photo of the fatal car crash. Though aware the image was miscaptioned, they decided to capitalize anyways, accompanying it with her face photoshopped to have tire tracks over it. The hoax actually generated so much controversy that it received news coverage, which the site owner responded to in a press release.
The earliest days of the internet, fam.
The photograph had not been tampered with. A few minor points were wrong. We confirmed the source of the image within 12 hours, but because of the wide interest in the existence of any such image, real or not, we went live with it. At no point did we actually claim the photo was
They actually had like departments and stuff, bro.
genuine.
It was just a catched like word. It was easy to make websites back then. Like using a typewriter or something, uploading images.
Of course, once
I
we
don't know.
receive a genuine photo of the accident, it will get published.
Much in the way that shock rockers and radio
I think there is, and I don't want to see them.
hosts of the time grew popular due to their infamy.
Yeah, it's just this is computers back then. Y'all like the monitor was basically a CRT TV.
Rotten
I used to have 3 monitors that were like that, bro. They were like 30 pounds each, bro.
only capitalized on their bad press by doing their best to piss off the world around them. Accumulating over 3 million views in its first year, by 2001 they were serving over 200,000 unique visitors every day, with massive spikes for particularly controversial edition. buildings. They notoriously were the first to publicize photos of the falling man, titling it Swan Dive. Given its origin in protesting regulation, it's no surprise regulators began to cite it as justification for their cause. In 1999, they returned with the COPA, which required all controversial material to be censored from minors. Donna Rice Hughes, who testified before Congress on the issue, denounced Rotten.com in her testimony, calling it an exemplar of the violent and bloody horrors children must
You said exemplar? That's actual a word, bro? Exemplar is a word.
be protected from online.
So it means like example, right? Dead baby muncher. Pick what the heck?
Additionally, the site's mixture of both
You said baby muncher?
true
No.
and
Relax with that one.
intentionally false information led law enforcement to begin investigating their content. As an attempt to fail-safe against potential shutdowns, Rotten complied with requests to add content warnings to their site. They even made attempts to emphasize its educational value, though this wasn't greatly successful due to their past hoaxes. Bonsai Kitten was a shock site centered around the fictitious experiment. It instructed readers how to malform cats into the shape of jars, similar to
What?
a bonsai tree. The hoax managed to receive so much backlash that it was dropped by service providers twice.
Bro, this is another uncomfortable video, man. The last one. The last uncomfortable video we watched was about TikTokers who passed away. Why did I click this, bro?
Before Rotten decided to adopt the site and host it themselves. Consequently, all their domains were legally blocked by ISPs in Dusseldorf.
Now, keep in mind, I did have some caffeine, so I'm a little bit more irritable in general. Gosh, caffeine is something else.
Over the years, the site faced a number of lawsuit threats. While there are really too many to count, one important example would be when the site operators purchased the domain trenchcoat.com, being a reference to the trenchcoat mafia of school tragedy fame. This domain,
Didn't even know there was something like that that happened.
however, would only redirect
The OG edgy website. That's what we should call it. We're only on Rotten still.
to the Burlington Coat Factory webpage, which, as you can imagine, was pretty upsetting for the brand. Later on, they were also ordered by the US government to remove their Fuck of the Month section. While they complied, they replaced the page with a message antagonizing the feds and criticizing the Bush administration for censorship. In 2005, they temporarily
They are unhinged.
shut down several of their sites in light of new pornography regulations. In many ways, this would mark the beginning of the end. Though they claimed to have a greater educational purpose, this defense was honestly pretty weak. Critics at the time compared it to reading Playboy for the articles, or in modern terms, watching porn for the plot. It was difficult to defend, as the content was all editorialized, and as mentioned before, they deliberately spread misinformation to their audience, getting a major kick out of it.
It's hard for them to go against like a website like 4chan.
Rotten also cited the footage being circulated prior as a defense, but did little to justify their own usage. For a site like this to have longevity in any way, it would need to be more impartial in order to survive the waves of scrutiny. Updates on the site would slow down until 2012, where they were stopped entirely. Then, in 2017, the site quietly went offline because of hardware issues. Due to a lack of public interest, it never returned to the web.
Hardware issues? What? How do you get a hardware issue, bro? A server room breakdown or something?
So, why exactly did Rotten fall out of popularity, especially as such a titan of the early online world? Well, as the internet became more populated, Rotten stopped being at the forefront of their niche. This was because a massive competitor arose that was able to address those concerns and replace it as the internet's go-to shock gallery. Launched at the turn of the millennium as augurish.com, they initially copied Rotten's framing of challenging the
Yeah, I don't know about this website.
viewer. They even sported the tagline, "Can you handle life?" Their earliest controversies were also similar in nature, publishing photos from the September
I see with the artwork they went that they're trying to go for that, right?
11th attacks alongside hate speech. But
Let's see, multimedia pictures, animations. Do they have like games?
unlike Rotten, they eventually had enough sense to drop the satirical nature, instead focusing on being consistent and authentic to their visitors. Augurish not only updated forum more frequently, but also had a team constantly prowling the internet for new material. This first entailed what you'd expect, the typical kinds of videos as mentioned prior, but then
They're charging membership fees to.
everything changed in 2003 with the Iraq War. In the wake of massive overseas combat, Augurish subsequently became an archive for the battlefield's most violent scene.
This is the first time I learned about, there's wars. There's like always a war going on, bro, or something.
As they began
I don't
running
want there to always be a war
Okay.
going on. Oops.
to scrape videos and pictures from extremist sites run by enemies of the state. In 2004, the site was receiving 300,000 hits every day, with 750,000 during peaks. This status wasn't without scrutiny, of course, especially when they began reposting execution footage filmed by the captors. This became such a recurring trend that news sites began directly crediting them, with some of their videos receiving up to 15 million downloads. An entire article was
Jeez, bro, 15 million back then, 15 million that now. Like 15 million views is a huge amount to get nowadays.
even written in 2006, titled Shock and Gore, describing the direct impact they were having on the battlefield. According to this, many people stationed overseas would often refresh the site for updates on ongoing hostage situations. They did their best to justify their usage, however, distancing themselves from the label shock site and instead framing Ogrish as an alternative news source for those willing to watch what no one else will. In the article, the
I don't want to volunteer for this website.
only public-facing member of the site commented, just as people are increasingly bypassing the authority of their doctor and looking on the web for a diagnosis, they are also turning to the internet in search of alternative views about current affairs. This effectively made their branding and message more aligned with something like InfoWars than Rotten. However, this somewhat mature stance would ultimately culminate in the abrupt shutdown of the site in October of 2006, redirecting instead
Well, taking out the game.
to their self-proclaimed
Looks like this is a catched version.
Tamer project. The intent
Alright.
with the Live Leak rebrand was to make it more accessible to the general public. This meant further sanitizing it of hate speech, and even changing its tagline to the far more reflective, uncover reality, as they
Oh yeah, the comment section on this website was something else.
continued attempting to push transparency to its absolute limit, they naturally continued to face controversy after controversy. Less than a few months after its launch, the site received a massive influx of attention for hosting the leaked cell phone footage of Saddam Hussein's execution. Live Leak differed
I didn't even know there was footage of that.
from Ogrish in several ways, but the most fundamental difference is that it was now a video sharing platform. Rather than having a team curate everything submitted, it was much closer structurally to YouTube. Users could now upload videos themselves, and there was no specification it even had to be graphic.
And yeah, basically YouTube's competitor, but with a graphic.
This decision was likely made in part as legal
Like I would go on the website to like try to find like gore back then, and I just wouldn't find it. I was like, dude, not even on here. But no, I don't go out and find that stuff.
protection to further avoid editorial responsibility. If you do not claim to moderate your site, then why would you have to worry about what users who you don't associate with do on it? It's not your responsibility, right?
It says leaked 2 days ago. Interesting synonym to upload.
Regardless of the attempts to pivot, they remained most well known for what made them famous, with the White House press secretary at the time even naming it as the best place to see updates from active soldiers. While this framing allowed the site to gain more
Dang, White House acknowledged them for real.
legitimacy and eventually outlast its competitors, it too would manage to hit its ceiling. In the summer of 2014, Islamic State terrorists filmed themselves beheading an American journalist and uploaded it to video sharing sites, including YouTube, Facebook, and LiveLeak. After pressure from both
I remember seeing this, and it looked so fake, bro.
the media and their peers, the company
It just looked fake.
caved in and updated their policy to ban all beheading footage produced by ISIS. It's one thing to republish footage scraped from other sites. It's entirely another to host content uploaded by the perpetrator themselves, inviting accusations of condoning or even encouraging attention seekers. Interestingly, 2 years prior, a minor competitor known as Bescore faced similar backlash regarding the Luka Magnotta case. They were heavily criticized for continuing to host the murderer's home video of the crime, which he debuted on their platform, contributing to him reaching the fame that he so desperately wanted for the
Shaking my head.
kill. The site
It's not the kind of fame. He doesn't deserve the fame, bro.
owner was later charged and pled guilty for obscenity. This question would arise once again in 2019, following the New Zealand mosque shooting. The perpetrator streamed the entire massacre online, forcing platforms to redefine their position on the matter entirely. Facebook and YouTube began using advanced
That guy's also a monster, bro.
Against algorithms and digital fingerprinting to prevent further spread of the video. Reddit went so far as to ban several subreddits, such as Watch People Die.
Oh, I remember. I didn't know that was banned.
And once again, LiveLeak 2 complied, refusing to host the video and comparing it to the glossy promo videos for ISIS. They later elaborated on their justification in a statement.
We've received no small number of complaints regarding the fact that we will not carry the video. As a result, we've decided we put out a statement explaining why we've taken this stance. Whilst we may carry media that shows the most terrible of events, we don't want to be a vehicle of choice for those who carry these events out. This was a very important distinction for us. Currently, judging by media coverage and reactions online, he's getting almost exactly what he wanted. We don't intend to indulge him further. We've never had a show everything policy and will
Show everything policy.
continue to review certain items on a case-by-case basis.
1 second, I have a. Alright, I'm back at a break.
We fully understand some people will be very unhappy with this decision, but as with previous decisions, we will stand by it all the same. We hope you can understand our position on this,
Don't bring the website back.
even if you disagree.
All of these were signs of the end, as in general, it appeared that the site's administration had lost interest in continuing to host it. In June of 2020, the ability to log in was disabled entirely, preventing
It probably exists in like some sort of other realm, right?
any more content from being shared. Then,
Dang, my webcam's freezing.
nearly 1 year later, in May of 2021, the site was closed down permanently, with the domain now redirecting to their supposed next
Hey, oh, they just call it a rebrand then. What's item fix, bro?
project. And with the death of LiveLeak, it truly signified the end of an era. Reading through their final statement, the justification for why the site was closed
Oh, with every end, there's a new beginning, though, fam. Let's.
makes little sense. In fact,
Cold.
it actually says very little, only serving to promote its replacement. Item Fix appears to be just another clone of YouTube, and specifically outlaws all of the content that made its predecessor so famous. There's no reason for anyone to use this, and I don't see it lasting any more than a few years. Interestingly, the aforementioned Best Score also shut down a few months prior. It too had an equally vague farewell, only stating that its founder had moved on to pursue different endeavors.
Keep the website away from me, though. Changing tides, chapter 5.
There's been
Oh, they
so
got
much
YouTube.
speculation as to why both of these sites shut down, and if there's any connection between the two. I personally don't have a good answer, but some have posited that there could have been some third-party pressure unbeknownst to the public from behind the scenes, spawning many a conspiracy theory. Alternatively, it's possible that they simply became unprofitable, or that it was too difficult to keep service providers due to their content. According to an interview with one of the site's founders with Input Magazine, the decision was merely a move to the next project. The vision could evolve no more, and therefore, he ended it. Probably best to just take his word for it. Regardless, it's safe to say that their reign in the online world is over, or at least how they used to exist in the past. Moving forward, it's going to be really interesting to see how their diminished presence affects social media and future news coverage.
It will, bro, it's, I can't unsee it. That's, I did see a few, like, really unsettling videos on there, but yeah.
There is genuine value to documenting that footage somewhere, something even recognized by news publications during LiveLeak's prime. Disturbing as it may be, it's a part of life, and it's a part of history. Perhaps we will see the resurgence of these sites someday, but if we do, please don't let me know by sending me that shit. Just kidding. Okay,
Also, yeah.
don't. Just don't. I've been Turkey Tom. Thanks for watching, and until next time, leave me alone.
Well, I'm FanOF. And thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the join button. As much as I dislike gore sites, it taught me at an early age the world isn't full of rainbows or sunshine. I should be grateful. And I was able to move to a first world country. Well, that's a video, fam. I got Turkey Tom in the description. I don't even think I've seen a video from him yet, ever, but we've seen this one, so. See you next one, fam.